Good evening, that was a good start. Mike was off. How are we all doing? That was the awesome Banjo guy, Ollie. It's great to see him in the chat. Thank you, Ollie. Yeah, I'm glad you've all gone and subbed. An amazing talent. And we chose Turrican 2 tonight because Mad Pete, who's also in the chat, is doing a live stream at around 8 PM. So if we play our cards right, we can go and watch an expert play Turrican with the sound of Ollie still ringing in our ears. And, well, Friday nights don't get better than that, do they? We've got your alphabet game. We're on to the letter H today. Your game's beginning with the letter H. We've got your room tours, your cave tours, your show and tells. We've got a lot to get through because you've been incredibly generous again in submitting all of your videos. Thank you. Over in the chat, I see Mark said that he submitted a video. Guys, you're cutting it so fine. Mumbo has sent a video at 6:50. Grant has sent a video at 7:01 PM. Do we allow that? 1 minute late. You're going to have to remind me later to dip into those because I download them all in advance so everything's ready to go. Anyway, how are we doing in the chat? We got Mark Central, we got Ralph, we got Dave Velociraptor. I have Discord closed, Mark. You're going to have to drop me an email. retromancave@gmail.com. Otherwise all the notifications will ping up while we're live. We've got Richard the hallucinogenic Shears, who assures me there's no copywritten music in his video today. Clap clap with Elmo. Yes, Mark, you're not going to get me flagged today. We've got Grant M. We've got Mark Fixes Stuff. Hello, sir. Awesome. And we got a good number. We got 68 viewers. So hopefully you got notified today because there's been problems with you getting the notifications. So I set up the stream at like 9 o'clock this morning instead of doing it at the last minute. I tried to compensate for the Pacific time that YouTube seems to use because I set it at 7 PM in the box and it sets it at some random time. So I tried to go back. I set it at 11 AM in the YouTube box. I pressed OK. And the stream appeared on my channel at 4:20 PM. How does that even work? Where did it get the 20 minutes from? So I had to manually go back and change it, but who cares? It worked. It worked. We've got you guys here. God's own time zone. Right. Should we start with the games? Okay, we've got a couple of G games that didn't quite make it in yesterday. So we'll just catch up. We've got Chris, regular submitter. He's going to give us a G game. There he is. We're getting used to that face. Those baby blue eyes. We're getting used to you, Chris. So let's see what Chris has got. Just to round off the G's from yesterday.
Hi everyone, it's Chris again.
Hello, Chris.
Another letter. This time it's G. Gaiaras.
Now I know I'm bad at pronunciation, but I think if you can't pronounce your own games, should you be allowed? Should you be allowed on this? You've got to at least be able to say the name of the game, Chris.
Gaiaras. I already mentioned it in my call. My favourite shooter on the Mega Drive. Fantastic game. Awesome soundtrack. Really quite innovative weapon selection system. You can steal the weapons off your opponents, like the enemy ships, and then you can keep stealing it to power up your weapon. There's an awesome beam weapon which looks fantastic but actually causes you more problems because it looks great but it's not that great. Anyway, that's my G. Bye.
Thank you, Chris. That's Chris's G. He did send a picture in as well, just so we can get a better look. Does anyone know how to say this? I think I saw a phonetic spelling from Mark Fixes Stuff. Let's scroll back up. Gaiaras. Gaiaras. Yeah. Looks good. Haven't played it. Hello, Error42. There you go. Thank you, Chris. I think that was the last of the G's. It was. Okay. Let's go into the H games and then we've got 3 3 tours for you today, 1 show and tell, and all the H games. So let's do a tour first, and then we'll dip into the game. So Guy Air East says it's an ass. Guy Air East. Yes, Richard, thank you, very useful. Let's go to our good friends, the Amigos. In particular, this is Boat, because the Amigos are Boat and Aaron. But because of lockdown, they're in their own homes rather than meeting at the studio. So I'm assuming this is Boat's house. If you're not subscribed to the Amigos, I will get a link for you shortly. But let's see what Boat has got for us.
Okay, as we descend the staircase, first thing you see is a blown up advertisement for the TRS-80 Color Computer Model 1 sent in to us by a listener. And this is kind of the grand view here.
Again, whenever we have a tour from someone in America, they just seem to have so much space. Look at all the space in that room.
Of Amigo Studios. I guess we'll just kind of work our way around. As you can see, I've got some guitars set up here. We've been recording some special Patreon songs for all the people that support the show. So that's what that is. But first up, we have a Power Mac G4 Quicksilver. This was my dream Mac growing up in college. These were in the music labs in school. And I always wanted one. And then one day I bought one. And now I have absolutely no idea what to do with it. But I've got the keyboard and mouse. The keyboard and mouse are actually for a G5. I like the G5 keyboard and mouse more than the G4 black keyboard and mouse. But anyway, yeah, I'm hopeful that one day I'll come up with a cool thing to do with a classic Mac. But so far, I just have not done anything with it yet. We've got an Amiga 5 1/4 inch drive, which is a weird kind of thing. You don't see those too often. With a user-created on-off switch that came with it. So we got that. And this is kind of the shelf of computers, of classic micros. Behind it, you see the Activision 2600 collection that I've amassed over the years. And we've got just a generic, or not generic, but your typical Apple II or Mac Performa LC type keyboard, and then there's an Atari 1200 XL.
It's a fairly long video and I want to see it all, so I'm not going to talk too much over it and pause it. But one thing that the Amigos have is a really big British following, which is really nice, and it means a lot of their viewers send the kind of machines that you wouldn't expect to see on an American channel, like the Amstrad CPC 464 there. And it's really nice to hear their opinions. Or to just see them discover a machine that they've never even heard of for the first time. Anyway, let's continue.
The rarest of the Atari 8-bit micros. Got an Amstrad CPC 464.
Cheeky monkey.
A PAL Commodore 64. Above that is a ZX Spectrum Plus 2, which is fantastic. I love it. And finally, a PAL Amiga 600. So for many years, we were unable to play PAL games because we didn't have a PAL system. And now we do, so I use that quite a bit.
He didn't say ZX, Mark. He said
this is
ZX.
a triple action pinball machine. This is a Williams machine from 1974.
My, but you got a big one.
I bought this from a local fella, got a real good deal on it. It's in pretty good working condition, and if you like pinball, this is a good early solid state system. It's got a spinner in the middle, and pretty good mechanics, pretty deep for an earlier game. Triple action. Continuing around the room,
nice.
We have a Mario Brothers arcade machine. I got this at an auction in Tennessee, my only ever arcade auction. I put the high score chip in it, and it works really well. I've had to clean the contacts on it, but other than that, no maintenance other than just your general cleaning. I've got the shelf full of board games here, including Gloomhaven, which I paid an extortionate amount of money for and played like 3 times because it's really hard to get set up. Over here is
lots of nice displays.
My collection of black box NES games. This is probably one of my most prized things because these are the games that I lusted after when I was a kid. I love the pixel art on the front. So much different than the art on the computers, which was always stylized. Of course, I like that too, as you'll see later. We got
another
big
cabinet
shelf
over there.
of games over here now. Got the Katamari Damacy poster. We got a Super Famicom edition of Chrono Trigger that I picked up when I was in Japan.
See, the last thing you expect to see in an American tour is combat links made in association with Westfield's helicopters in Yeovil in Somerset for the ZX Spectrum in an American cave store. Brilliant.
Looks like some Game.com carts. Blue Max for the Atari 8-bit. And then we've got just a selection of Amiga games in the back. Some Commodore cassettes in the front. Probably see some games that you recognize there. I really like these big box ZX Spectrum titles. I'm working on collecting the whole set of these. I love the rainbow motif. Kind of reminds me of like the Activision thing. Little mini diorama that I picked up in Japan. Whoa! Those are probably dirt common now, but at the
gone in the
time
bin.
I'd never seen anything like it. Gotta pick up that bullet bill there. Anyway, I'll do that later. Some Atari 8-bit games down here. More Amiga stuff.
All the
I've
sealed
got
stuff
just
there.
kind of a hodgepodge of systems. Get that TNC Surf design out of the way. This is my newest edition, this Coleco Telstar unit. I associate the Telstar mostly with the 3-in-1 with the driving controls and all that stuff. But this is just your run-of-the-mill. I guess it's called the Telstar Alpha.
Yes, Dennis.
You got a NES.
Send in your videos
N64,
of you destroying your
Atari
caves.
7800 that I was just playing with earlier today. Over here, we've got some 7800 loose games. A couple more modern games, PS2, PS3. Hadouken! Working our way up. We've got the just some more games, including a sealed Death Star Battle for the Atari 8-bit, one of my favorite games. I've got that through the Amigo Secret Santa. And here's just something you don't see too often. This is a Samsung Saturn copy of Daytona USA because up until the early 2000s, you couldn't have Japanese consoles. They had to be relicensed through the Korean conglomerates. So you had the Hyundai Comboy, which was the NES and Super Nintendo, and then the Samsung made the Sega properties. I've got a selection of retro gaming books here. Some of my favorites. The NES Works books are quite good, quite good.
Hello, Pixels.
So
We're just with the
and then
Amigos.
Up top, got some accoutrement. Got there's an old Coleco Pac-Man tabletop game from the original line. And these are really neat. These are little mini dioramas from Namco, and they actually will play little samples from the game. So I thought that was kind of neat. We've got a Macintosh Plus, one of my earliest eBay purchases from like 1998 that I've got running with a floppy EMU drive. Down here is Apple IIe, and what's interesting about this Apple IIe is that it has two different sets of keycaps on it. It's like, I don't know how this happened, and look at that wacky Apple key. I've never seen anything like it before. I've not had a lot of time. That's not true. I've had all the time in the world. I've not had the inclination to play around with the Apple II, as it really doesn't hold a lot of nostalgia for me, but I like having it around, and it's just massive. I mean, the case is huge. All those expansion boards and stuff you could fit in there, so really cool. And then this is the shelf of ZX Spectrum. So these cassettes are 2 and 3 layers deep. I've cleared some space here. These are the games pushed back that I've already played, and eventually I'm going to work my way through all of these. We have a listener that sent us several collections worth of cassettes, and with plus 2 with the built-in cassette drive. It's really made playing these fun. I enjoy the loading times immensely. Up next, we've got the MAME cab, the requisite MAME cab that belongs in every game room. This is
it's got to happen once.
Coin Ops Forgotten Worlds. which is a
I was just saying, while muted, it was Kevin Tom's Football Manager, because we've got to have a Kevin Tom's mention. When you see me touch my ear, I'm pressing. Why? I carried on talking after pressing it. I'm pressing the mute button. That's what I'm doing. Because you don't need to hear me slurping my drink, but then I forget to turn the damn thing back on.
a really, really great package of arcade games and console games. This was originally a Dynamo Z-back type cab that I refurbished completely, and I added all new buttons and sticks and paint and stuff, and tried to make it kind of like a Neo Geo cab. And I'm happy with the way it turned out.
Nice.
We've got some marquees. I actually forgot to turn these on. These are backlit marquees that are that I got from a shop when I was living in Virginia.
Those are cool. And yeah, we've got a drinks cabinet here.
And my meager, loose Atari 2600 collection. I don't have a lot of 2600 games. And some classic Tiger LED games, Road Race and Football. Coming over here, this is actually where we film Amigos. This is our filming computer with our AV rig, otherwise known as the Logitech C920, with some lav mics feeding into this.
We got the tape measure. And I haven't seen Boat in the chat, so I'm not sure if he even is in on our little in-joke with the tape measures. It just goes to prove a point that tape measures are on all of our desks.
Behringer board over here. And up against this background, I've actually set up my Amiga 1000 setting towards the camera just to give people a chance to gaze upon its visage as we film Amigos. And we've got some mugs, Amiga-related mugs. Brutal Barracuda sent this to us, a custom deal in the Amiga Ireland, and of course the classic logo there. This 1000 it's in pretty good shape, although the disk drive doesn't load things properly. There are only a couple things that will actually work on it, and because of the enclosure, I can't put another drive in here. So if anybody has any ideas on where to source a replacement 1000 drive and enclosure for not $1 million, let me know. And finally, this is where I play most of my games every week, sitting here in front of the CRT. I love playing games in front of a CRT because just the glow, the colors are so vibrant. I know it really doesn't show too well on the video itself, but I will hook up my Spectrum or my Amiga or my Coco here, or the
I don't know if he's going to talk about it, but he's channeling a composite left and right audio through a VHS player, which is something that I resort to sometimes. It's actually a really useful bit of kit to have, an old VHS player. If it kicks SCART out of the back, and then you can get SCART into, say, your upscaler or your capture card or whatever you want. Yeah, a good old VHS player is still a very useful thing to have.
Atari, and just go to town. And what I do is I just take one of these monitors and just bring it over here, and that's how I monitor the chat. So this is how we actually export the Coco and the Atari composite signal, because the signal is so weird. A normal capture card won't do it. So we actually, Aaron and I both have these. These are SV300W. I believe that these are
VCR.
Samsung,
sorry,
drives, maybe JVC, but these are really, really expensive old VCRs that will play any region, and they also decode crazy composite signals into S-video, which we put through the capture card. So anyway, this was just and not really a quick, this went on longer than I thought, a little rundown of Amigo Studios.
I
guess I forgot to mention my trombone. Here's my trombone. And I hope you've enjoyed it. And thanks a lot, Neil, for giving me a chance to show off the old my man cave. See you guys later. Bye.
Thank you, Boat. Let's bring the music back up, and let's give you that link again. That's the channel in the chat, so just take a minute to click and sub, especially if you're an Amiga fan, if you're a ZX Spectrum fan, if you're a Coco fan. I mean, these guys cover so many systems, and they Twitch a lot as well, YouTube and Twitch. And we had a really fun one the other day when they were reviewing Kevin Tom's Football Manager, and I managed to get onto Twitter, contact Kevin Tom's, and get him to come into their stream and have a chat with them to see their review at the precise moment that Aaron was slating the game. He couldn't have timed it any better, but it turned into a constructive chat. It went very well. So, oh, they'll be on Twitch after this. Okay, yeah, well worth subbing to those guys. Yeah, and their Spectrum podcast is great as well. But look at the size of it. You know, this is the basement. This is the spare room, because we all do this. We all do our hobby in the spare space that we don't know what else to do with. The size of it. You know, you can get his guitar out. He's got a couple of arcade machines. He's got a picture of a man playing a guitar to a horse. Everything you need. Thank you, Boat. Let's dive into our H games then. Let's smash through a few of these. Have we got any pictures? We'll start with a picture from Dana. I haven't seen Dana in the chat tonight. She's usually here. She or he. I'm assuming it's a she. And Dana's gone for H for Haunting Ground. They say fabulous and very unique survival horror experience for the PS2. And one of several games that began development as a version of Resident Evil 4. I didn't know that. So Resident Evil 4 obviously had multiple false starts that turned into games in their own right. And this is one of them. Anyone played this? Hello! Yeah, you are here. Oh, and it's Capcom as well, of Resident Evil fame. I haven't played it. I can't comment on it. I was a Resident Evil fan, but I've never played Haunting Ground. So that is our first H game. Let's go to... Okay, it's time for Richard. It's time for Richard. Let's see what he's got for us today. Take it away, Richard. Head over heels. Great choice. Look at that setup. Oh, hang on. He's going for the points here. I'm not convinced this is a real room. Is this a mock-up? We've got the RMC calendar up here, 10 points. We've got the RMC mug here, which I'm not sure is real. I think that might have been photoshopped on. That's 10 points. We've got a Stanley tape measure, 10 points. We've got a Scotch egg. You've got to look closely. But we've got a Scotch egg in a packet there. We've got another tape measure. Hang on, how many tape measures have we got? Wow, there's so many Easter eggs here. We've got Derek Findus. Good effort.
How to get on the wrong side of Frank Bruno.
Is this where the copyright strike comes in?
Frankly, I'm not HP.
How to get on the right side of Frank Bruno.
Harry.
Only one source can give all Frank's favourite foods the necessary punch. So in a couple of shakes, he's completely HP.
Oh, he's gone for Harrier Attack. It's my choice of game for today. There we go. One of the first games I ever played on my Amstrad CPC. Good choice, Richard. Well, yeah, a hard drive counts as an H, just because you really wanted one. Heretic, yeah, did enjoy this. think when it came out, I think I was a bit more into Duke Nukem at the time, but I did give this a good play, and the sequel.
For a perfect summer's day, everything's got to be right. The sea,
Is this
the
Scott?
and the view. And
Oh,
what
Hofmeister,
better sight
sorry.
than the clear gold of a Hofmeister lager. Over the sea and the wind in your hair.
If you got great lager, follow the bear.
Oh, another great choice. Hunter. An Amiga classic, he says, back in March 1991, one of the true original sandbox games. It was. You had to capture the general's head. That was the objective of the game. Using bicycles, surfboards, tanks. What else was in there? Every kind of vehicle. It's a good game.
Show me the money!
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet. The mild cigar.
Hostages, that's a good shout, Ralph. Oh, well. How could we get through today without Half-Life?
Emitters activating now.
Castardo, you're not commuting anywhere right now. So for Richard, this was something to finally replace Quake 2. I know it will be on a lot of lists. The first game was really an interactive movie. Just need to get it right. Storytelling without you ever feeling constrained by the story.
Every morning, things begin to wind you up. And continue winding you up throughout the day.
They're waiting for you,
It's
Gordon,
hard to
in
relax.
the testing chamber.
Until you sit down to a nice cup of Horlicks.
Oh, I'm more of an
Horlicks
Ovaltine
mixed
man.
together with warm milk
But it is
helps you
H-Day.
unwind. Horlicks. Oops.
The Richard Show,
The
yeah, it
key to a
is.
nice, relaxed evening.
Oh, there we go. Good night, Cave Dwellers. Thank you, Richard. Yes, as trippy as ever, but less Elmo today. Thank you. Right, what's next? Castardo. Let's go straight into Castardo's choice.
Hello, Cave Dwellers. Here's
Hello.
my entry for the letter H. It's Hero for the Atari 2600. A game made by Activision, as you can see, and it's one of the highlights of the catalog.
A little bit quiet, that one. Sorry, I can't make it any louder than that, but lean in and listen carefully.
In fact, it's one of my favorite games for the system, next to Pitfall and Enduro. All are Activision titles. They were truly the kings of games for the system, even better than the Atari people themselves. Let's have a quick round.
This, of course, appeared on Mark Fix's Stuff Around of the last quiz. It was one of the box art challenges.
It's an extremely fast game. You have to rescue miners. that are stranded
Pillock.
in caves.
Turn up the volume so you can hear Pillock. Get your headphones on. I promise not to press the air
You have a
horn.
limited amount of helicopter power.
Does Richard have a channel? Richard, do you have a
amount
channel?
of dynamite, and
I think he does.
it's very easy to die. It's a pretty tough game. And that's it. Hero for the 2600.
Thank you, Castardo.
Hello, Cave Dwellers. Here.
Hello again. Good choice. Good choice. I'm just going to bash through a few because we've got so many to get through tonight.
Hi everyone.
This
This is my choice for
Ola.
each game. Heimdall.
Oh, we've got that looks like a vintage tape measure. That's a good one. Look at it.
Hi, but you got a big one.
It was published by Core Design. Developed by
Oh, we got another one up here.
day.
Sorry, I know you're talking about the game, but that's an old school wooden fold-out measuring stick. Great. Oh, and we got another one down here. They keep appearing.
It's
You've not heard of this, Mark? This is a really nice game on the Amiga.
Very hard gameplay. I could not get far with this one. Love the game though, and this game is the reason I got that 512k extra RAM board. Feelies, there was a nice map. This showed you all the 3 game worlds that you had to journey through and find the lost pieces of the lost weapons of the gods. Manual, very nice manual. Has a
how many pages? Come on.
Nice intro comic.
We gotta know
it's
how many
more
pages
or less the same that's shown in the intro in the game itself. And it's 28 pages long.
Hi, but you got a big one.
28
Bye.
pages. We got the page count. We got the tape measures. We got a great choice of game. I really enjoyed this on the Amiga. Really nice graphics on this one. Really nice style to it. And a nice story. And as he mentioned, a cool intro, which probably took up a floppy disk in its own right. So that's how you do a video game show and tell. All of the elements. Maybe a Scotch egg missing, but I reckon it's in the Pirates box. That's where it's hiding. Mumbo, I won't forget. I will check all the emails at the end. Pixels at Dawn. It's Ian. With his choice of H game. He always comes up with a good one. Let's see what he's got today.
Hello, Cave Dwellers. It's Pixels at Dawn here again. And it's time for the H day for a games thing. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the original versions of these games, but because they're so special, I thought I should include them anyway. I'm a big fan of RTS games.
Bonus
And
points for a zip stick, eh?
there's been some great ones over the years, but none really quite like Homeworld. As you can see, is my bog standard sold out software budget re-release of Homeworld, but a really good game.
That really was a cheap re-release label, wasn't it? You found those in every kind of store. It was a bit like going back to the days of cassette tapes. You suddenly started to find these sold out things in amongst the stationery at the back of W.H. Smith's, along with the Hunt the Object mystery games and things like that. But hey, if it's a good game, it's a good game. Doesn't matter what label it's re-released on.
Game came out in '99, would you believe? Sierra Software, and it's a fully 3D space RTS. There's not many of those around. A lot of RTSs get stuck on the ground in a sort of pseudo 3D, but not all dimensions of space. Now, I don't think there's anything particularly exciting in here, unfortunately. Just the
was that a flash of the registration code there?
So
probably
sorry about that.
Used.
But Homeworld was an amazing game, proper unique game, and good multiplayer as well. Then of course you have the sequel to that, which is Homeworld 2, which is kind of like the same but better. more of the same, which for this kind of genre is a good thing. Sequel to 1999's Game of the Year, and it's got a lot more coloured lighting, space looking amazing with nebulas, whatever, and all those little tracing trails that go behind all the ships as they fly around, annihilating each other. Online play for up to 6 players at once. Well, there you go. So yeah, Homeworld 1 and 2. No exciting manuals, I'm afraid, but still a very good game. I'll see you next time.
Oh, what a lovely looking pair.
Thank you very much, Pixels. Another great choice. And a 7.5 metre tape measure, 25 inches from Wilco. Lovely, Trace. That looks like it can take some abuse. You drop that, you're not going to do any damage to it. Slip that around your wrist so you don't drop it. Lovely stuff. Good tape measure action. Should we just do away with the games and show each other our tape measures? Right, on to the next one. It's Russell.
What?
Can't believe we missed June. We did have June on the D-Day. We did have June. Right, Russell, what have you got for us? Let's turn the volume up.
What-o, Cave Dwellers.
What-o?
Now, it was my intention to show you my boxed copy of Hired Guns for the Amiga, which I got back in 1990, frozen
Hired
to death,
Guns,
whatever it was.
there's a game.
But sadly, it's gone missing. I've searched high and low for it, and I can't find it. So this long play I found on YouTube will have to suffice. But it's not the only H game that I have. There is
more Half-Life, more tape measures.
Boxed copy, which got 96% in Game of the Month in PC Game, and according to them, the 3D shooter debate is no longer about Quake 2 versus Unreal. Half-Life silences all dissent by being so utterly and resoundingly better than either of them that it's difficult to come to terms with. And I remember agreeing with that, pretty much, I think.
Yep.
Other side of the box, you've got Run, Think, Shoot, and Live. And a bunch of screenshots, actually, which look like they are from early betas of the game. It's like, that is not what the guards look like. That never happens.
That's a good observation.
And I never played much of the deathmatch to actually see if that was possible. Got a lot of old logos down the bottom. There's technical support, A3D, don't know what that is. Oh, look, environmental audio with Creative. Yes, I used to use the Creative Labs. I used to have the EAX DSP on my Sound Blaster Live Platinum as the old 3DFX logo. And there's the OpenGL logo. And Direct 3D. There's the minimum system requirements in Windows 95 or 98.
24 meg of RAM.
A Pentium 133 megahertz, 24 megs of RAM, a double speed CD-ROM drive, and various other stuff for network play. And Half-Life also supports a variety of 3D cards, but one is not required. That was actually a bit of a difference between Half-Life and Quake 2, actually, because I remember Quake 2, to get the coloured lighting, you had to have a 3DFX or a Power VR card, but for Half-Life, you didn't have to have a 3D accelerator at all. I know what you're all thinking. What are the dimensions of this box? Well,
I am thinking that.
Let's have a look. See. Yes.
What? Wait.
Well,
I need to see this
what
again.
Are the dimensions of this box? Well, let's have a look. See.
Look at that!
Yes.
A motorised tape measure.
Well, wide.
Boys, the game has just changed.
And it's really difficult to do this and operate the thing at the same time. Yeah. 24 centimetres high. Half-Life. Fantastic. And yes, of course, I am going to wind the tape back in. I am not a monster.
Right, if you got a big one.
There we go. What-o, Cave Dwell?
Wow, I'm speechless. It's game over. I think it's game over. How can anyone better the Black & Decker auto tape? Motorized one-handed measuring. Incredible. Scenes. Incredible scenes. Let's just stop the stream. It's done. Good choice of game as well. I mean, Half-Life, from the moment you got on that monorail at the start and you had that cinematic sequence to take you into the game, you knew you were in for a real treat. And now we're on to Tim. Tim's letter H.
Hi, Tim here. For the letter H.
Ripped a key off his keyboard. And I personally pressed that mug for Tim. That's his nickname on Discord, and that's one of the mugs available on the RMC shop.
Takes me back to Christmas 1982, and I was lucky enough as a teenager to be bought a 16K Spectrum throughout the year that it came out, and I was very happy, and I got it for Christmas, and it came with a game called Hungry Horace.
Oh, Double H.
Which is, it's pretty good fun. And obviously, compared to what I had before, was amazing. But that's actually not the game I'm using my H. It just happens to start with Double H.
He's teasing us.
But actually, it's the game that I heard about.
Get ready.
Based on a book that I love. And it caused me to pester my parents to upgrade my machine from 16 to 48K, which they eventually did for me. And that enabled me to get this game, The Hobbit by Melbourne House. And it hasn't aged particularly well. I never registered it. And, it will, I'm sure if you've never heard of it and you go and look at it, you'll go, what the heck? Why? But at the time, it just seemed incredible that they could cram a game around this entire book into such a small space, really. Not only that, but it seemed to have characters with a mind of their own. I certainly remember, I think it was Thorin wandering around singing about gold randomly, and people going in and out of areas that you went into, and that just seemed incredible at the time. I did complete it miraculously back in the day where there was no internet to help, but I did enjoy it, and I got immense satisfaction from completing it. So for those happy memories and the nostalgia it brings, that's my letter H. I will see you for I, which sounds very odd, but anyway, bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you very much, Tim. Great choice of game. Melbourne House I always associate with Dragon's Lair because they brought out the, they published Dragon's Lair on the micros. But The Hobbit, I think I've got it in my collection. I think I've got sort of the Tolkien trilogy. There's a compilation pack that came out with a load of them. Tim said it hasn't aged very well. I think I'll still go back and give it a go at some point. So many games, so little time. Those are our H's for today until... I know you're screaming at me. I need to dip into my email box for the latecomers. So I'm just going to do that now. We'll get some things downloading. We got Mumbo. And he sent some photos, so I can quite simply open them up to show you and read you his text. Half-Life, of course, but on the PlayStation 2. Never played it on the PS2. Anyone here try it on the PS2? I bought Half-Life originally, and then with Half-Life 2, I think it was Half-Life 2, I had the orange box, which contained Portal and all those other games. That was value for money. That was a good compilation. Mumbo says, I've chosen Half-Life and there's another one. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. Half-Life is an obvious pick. Not sure I need to give more information than that. I'm sure we'll see it mentioned multiple times in this stream. Yes, we have, with more detail given. Oh, and also the Opposing Force expansion pack. I do have the Blue Shift expansion as well, but couldn't find it for the photo. I believe that I received Hot Wheels Turbo Racing for the PS1. We got N64 and PS1 there. As a Christmas present in 2000, I'm fairly sure it's also the first PS1 game I owned in 2000. That's pretty late in the day for the PS1, isn't it? Excellent fun racing classic Hot Wheels cars around corkscrews, loops, jumps and pulling off airborne stunts to earn turbo assists or turbo boosts. Great soundtrack too. Not quite as much on the N64 version due to the limited cartridge space. They had to use lower bitrate loops instead of a full-length audio CD. Unfortunately, there's a problem with the PAL PS1 release. One of the bonus tracks you unlock, called Exhaust Pipes, freezes on the loading screen and fills it with some kind of debug information. Since the N64 version doesn't have this track, people in the PAL regions never got to play that track without using an imported copy of the game. That sounds like it's ripe for hacking your PlayStation and running unsigned code if it just crashes predictably when you run a certain track and fills the screen with debug information. If I could have found them, I would have gone with House of the Dead 1 and 2. Starts with the House of the Dead 1 and 2. Would that have been cheating? What do you think? What's the letter? Clap, clap. Few of you have enjoyed that. Ryan says he enjoyed that on the PS2. Mark played it on the PC. Here's another picture from Anime Lord 11. Oh, it's Grant. It's Grant M. Grant M is sent in High Octane by Bullfrog Software. This was also on the PC, I remember this. Bullfrog obviously famous for games like Populous and Magic Carpet. And we've got a Harlequin there, isn't it? Yeah, Harlequin. I only had one H game on hand, so I included a non-game, H for Harley. It's my figure of Harlequin from Batman Arkham City. Who's watched Birds of Prey? What did you think of it? I thought it was alright. I think the actress who plays Harley Quinn at the moment is doing a pretty good job of it. Hello, Grant. I seem to remember High Octane ran at quite a lick on the old PC. I was happy with it at the time. I did enjoy it. Maybe just call me Woody. It is confusing. We've got multiple Grants in the chat. We've got an Anime Lord. We've got a Woody. So many people. Right. Mark has sent in a video, so I'll just get this downloading. I don't know how long it's going to take. Oh, actually, we can play it in the browser. Even better. Mark with his platinum blonde hair, which I'm still adjusting to, but he gets extra points because he's got the Retro Man Cave, original Retro Man Cave badge. They've changed now, so that's the OG and Cave Dweller badge. And looks like he's stolen one of my blazers. Mark with a C. Let's see what he's got to say.
Welcome back, Cave Dwellers. And today we're going to look at games beginning with H. But before we do,
just going to try and knock the volume up because that is a little bit quiet. And what's it called? It's just desktop audio. Let's give it an extra 8 decibels. And it triggered the soundboard.
welcome back, Cave Dwellers. And today we're going to look at games beginning with H. But before we do, let's look at other things that begin with H. Like hot drinks served in this sophisticated mug, available online for just $8.99.
Wow, let's see that again. That sophisticated mug is just $8.99 at the Retro Man Cave shop. I should probably find you a link or something.
$8.99. Anyway, let's get on with some games. So,
100,000 points to Mark.
Hellfire on the Mega Drive. It's a great game. I've probably played it once. And
it's gone for the waistcoat as well.
5 hot drinks out of 5. Back to you in the studio, Neil.
Well, I feel like I'm on the One Show. Am I Christine Blakely now? Is that what's happened? He hasn't really told us anything about the game other than he's chosen the game, but wow, what an amazing mug. What an amazing mug. I've got a mug that I need to show you. It's going to take me about 45 seconds to go and grab it. So if you want to recharge your drinks, now is the time. I'm just going to go and grab this. It's something I want to show for Custado in particular. So just give me 2 seconds. Hold on. Let's not all leave while I'm gone, Pillock. What I wanted to show you was Custado's prize, which I got around to making today for winning the quiz last Saturday. Yes, it's taken me all this time and we'll get it in the post. I won the RMC quiz and all I got was this lousy mug. That's going in the post to you today or tomorrow, Custado. So hopefully it will get to you soon. And there's a second one for this Saturday. So tomorrow, if you play the RMC quiz on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Retro Man Cave, We have the retro quiz every Saturday night. There's a second mug up for grabs. There we go. Just a good use of space. Dennis had the first mug sent by Neil with a handwritten note. Yeah. Thank you, Dennis. And I've also got something. Is Chrissy in the chat? I haven't seen Chrissy in the chat today. But Chrissy yesterday showed us his amazing Street Fighter collection. And what I've got here is a Tubbs box, which look, I'm going to be honest, I didn't particularly want it. The makers contacted me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a video on these?" And I said, "Hey, I don't think I can do a whole video on the subject of Street Fighter ducks. I don't think my audience would appreciate it if I dedicated a whole video to Street Fighter ducks." And they said, "Fair enough. We'll send you some anyway. Do you want some?" And I said, "Well, look, if you're determined to send them to me, but I'm not doing a video." And then about a month later, I got an email from them saying, "Why haven't you done a video yet? We've sent you these things." I said, whoa. Don't get cheeky with me. You don't do that. You don't offer to send something for free and then put the pressure on to try and get me to do a video. I'm too old for those tactics. So they backed down quickly. But I wanted to send these to Chrissy if he wants them to go with his Street Fighter 2 collection. You can get Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li or Blanca. This is the video. I have I've met my obligations. And my understanding is they don't even float. A rubber duck that doesn't float. Do they float, said Xpreneur? Yeah. So, Chrissy, if you want them, they're yours. If not, they'll become a quiz prize. Cosplaying ducks, honestly. I'm sure there's an audience for them, but I don't think it's my audience. Maybe it is. So, that was Mark's. That's all of them in the mailbox. We've got show and tell, and then this works out well. We've got Mad Pete's Cave, and then Pete's doing his Turrican live stream. So I'll send you the link, and if you want to jump over and watch Pete in the cave that we're going to see play Turrican expertly, then we can do that. Yeah, very Funko Pop. I know there's an audience for it. I know there's a crowd for it. It's just not for me. You know, what have ducks got to do with Street Fighter 2? Mark, will you please get off my screen? No! Stop talking, Mark! Here we go. Oh, this is Dana again. Okay, we've got a show and tell. Oh, hello. Helps if I turn the volume on.
Hello, cave dwellers. I've got a show and tell for you here today. You may notice or recognize this table.
Oh, we got a pink tape measure today.
My lovely wife Tina's
And
filming location.
I think this is Sheepy Tina, who also has sent in some videos before. Is the lovely wife referred to?
So what I have is something a bit obscure for the Super Nintendo. Now everyone knows the Super Nintendo, but not many people are familiar with the Sufami Turbo.
Never heard of it.
So what this is, so a large company like Bandai doesn't necessarily want to go through Nintendo to produce cartridges, to get the shells, the PCBs, all of that. It's very expensive.
I know where this is going and I love it.
So Bandai decided to approach Nintendo and ask if they could produce their own cartridges. And they wanted to save money, of course, so they wanted smaller cartridges.
Cheeky monkey!
And for that, you need an adapter. Now, Nintendo surprisingly said, sure, You have to handle all the marketing and support and all of that. But hey, if you can do it, go ahead. So they did, and we got the Sufami Turbo. Now you'll notice this adapter has 2 slots.
I did
And that's
notice
because they did something a little clever.
Oh, what a lovely looking pair.
Ordinarily, you take your game, put it in the A slot, and you can play it. But the novel thing, you can take a second game, put it in the B slot, and it will load information from the second slot. Now what I have in this collection here are the 6 SD Gundam games. They're quite unique in that all 6 are cross-compatible with each other. So you can take any one of these games, put it in the second slot with any one of the others, and take characters from one into the other. It's a very interesting concept, and this is where it was most thoroughly explored. There are other games released for the Sufami Turbo adapter that do use a similar kind of crossover content system. There's 2 Ultraman games, I believe, that do a similar thing where you can take characters from one game into the other. There are also a few games that let you take scores from the same game. So if you and your friend have the same game, you can compare scores and share scores between them and compete with each other that way. There are also a number of games that just don't use the second slot capabilities in any way. Probably most of the later ones use less of that functionality. But it's a very interesting little peripheral and little slice of history.
Certainly is.
That I don't think gets explored very much. And I hope you found it interesting.
I did.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Let's just take that back. There were plenty of people in the chat who said they'd never heard of that before. I count myself as one of them. Sufami Turbo. I'm not a big console head. I'm more of a micro man, so I love learning new stuff about any system, but particularly about the consoles. And that's great. First of all, it was incredible that Nintendo actually let this thing exist, because you would have just thought they would have said a flat out no, get out of my face, I don't want anything to do with that. And secondly, what they've done with it, 2 cartridges that can tap into each other's ROMs to pull sprites out of them, or high scores if they're, I guess, battery backed up or whatever, and work together. That's cool. Yeah, I don't think you've never seen anything like that. By the way, Sufami is short for Super Famicom. Okay, so it's more like Sufami rather than Sufami. Doesn't matter how long you spend messing with this stuff, says Russell, you always find there's something completely new. That's why I love it. Yeah, so much. Dave says, Neil, I have heard of it before. It's called a Nintendo. Thank you, Dave. And a lovely pink tape measure there. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, just to take us into 8 PM, and the last video for today then is Pete's Cave. There he is with his. We started with Terrican. We're going to end with Terrican. Dana says I've got more weird SNES stuff. Send it all. I want to see all your weird SNES stuff. Get Tina involved as well. We want to see all your weird console stuff. All right, let's see what Pete's got for us.
Hello Neil, hello cave dwellers. This is going to be my quick tour of my man cave. I've had this since just before Christmas, so I'm still building it up, but I thought I'd show you guys around, see what you think. This start off with my traditional man cave logo on the door, and we'll go in. I've got some Commodore wall art there.
Hello, I've turned the mic on. I paused it because the soundboard stopped working because
What a fuss about such a little thing.
I have that sound mapped to the numlock. And because I've turned the numlock off, it stopped working.
Get ready.
That's what I was trying to play. Right. Yes, I know I'm muted in the chat. I know I'm muted. There's like a 10-second delay after I unmute and start talking, and then the flood comes in of you're muted, you're muted. Anyway, let's carry on. We're in Pete's cave. There's a lot of lights going on in his computer over there.
On the wall, which is actually it's like a.
You
like a
can hear me.
But it's so good quality. It just looks like paint. So really nice. I've got my Amiga mat here on the
Nice.
floor, which my wife got me. Really love that, but it's really difficult to keep it clean.
We've got Dave Haney there. So Pete has met Dave Haney of the original Amiga development fame.
Over in this far corner, I've got my main two desks. I've got my PC, which I use for
And Trevor Dickinson. Sorry, missed him.
For work and a bit of gaming. A few bits of audio stuff because I'm quite into my audio. Oculus Rift, obviously in the corner. RMC calendar.
10 points.
One. In the centre, I've got my Amiga 500 Plus, which has got a classic 520 accelerator card in the side, which gives you 8 meg and an 020.
Congratulations!
Also got inside Rapid Road, not Rapid, Indivision, a scan doubler.
Got another Logic 3 mouse. We had one of those yesterday. I didn't realise how common they were as a aftermarket mouse for the A500, but everyone seems to have them.
And OS 3.1.4, etc. Nice little machine. The 500 Plus is my
It's that
first
Checkmate
machine
case
under
with a
that one.
vampire, I think.
Then we've got over here Stephen Jones's Checkmate 1500 case, which I've put a 1200 board into, and it's also got a Vampire 1200 in there as well, which is a really nice piece of hardware.
Managed to get a nice keyboard to go with it as well. Maybe a 2000 keyboard, I think that is.
Lucky enough to get one of those.
Hello, Keith.
Sugary.
Top corner.
Another calendar.
SX64. Just really love the aesthetics of the SX64.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a really pretty machine. I got that locally from a guy who sold it as untested, and as we all know, untested means completely broken. So
Yep.
when I got it back, it was in pretty bad shape. It needed a new PLA, it needed a new SID, the disk drive didn't work, the speaker was broken. I think it had a bad RAM chip. It needed a fair bit doing to it. So quite proud of the fact that I managed to get that all fully restored and and working.
It's a good effort.
1084S monitor, 1541 drive, and then top corner I've got my Commodore 64 bread bin, which the bread bin was my first
10 points.
My first computer. So again, it's got a special place for me. And if we come over here,
You make a very good point, Pillock. Who is filming this? Who is filming this? He says this is professional level. Pete's hired a cameraman.
anyone who knows anything about
That's
me
cheating.
will tell you I'm a massive Turrican fan. So I got some Turrican wall art from print.com. These are vinyl wall art. They're really good quality. I was very impressed with them, and I love to show them off to people.
OneClickPrint.com for all your printing needs.
Love those. So if we go down this way, this is where I've been doing my
Monster joysticks.
fledgling live streaming from. I've got my CD32 that's in the top corner, and in the back of that is the TF330 accelerator, which is a brilliant accelerator card for the CD32. Transforms it into a wonderful machine. That's out into an OSSC at the bottom, which goes to my capture card, which then gives me, I'm able to then capture the footage. And I've got this Monster Joysticks Mini Monster Deluxe, which is a great joystick.
My, but you got a big one.
Turrican artwork on the top of there to customize.
Monster Joysticks is here, yes. It's a great
Over
joystick.
here, I've got my more Commodore wall art. I've got a few photos. I've got my signed copy of David Pleasance's book, which every Amiga fan should have and probably does, I would imagine. I've got my Crowning Glory, which is my Derek Findas signed photograph. I love a bit of Derek, he's just great, isn't he? He's hilarious. I've got my boing ball, inflatable boing ball, which again every Amiga enthusiast should have. And a couple of bits of metal wall art, Chaos Engine Bugle 2, just to finish off. So, I'd like to thank Neil for doing these diaries. They've given us something to keep us all sane while we're all locked up. Thank you for taking the tour of Cave, and I'll see you guys around.
Thank you, Pete. Yeah, these diaries are only possible because of the videos that you send in, like Pete's just sent in there. So thank you, everyone, for all the effort you go to. You've got all weekend now for the iGame, which is a little bit difficult. There must be less iGames than H games, but I'm sure you can come up with them. So, iGames. They're coming to me. IndyCar, Indy 500, Indiana Jones, loads of them. So, if you would like to submit your iGames, please send them to retromancave@gmail.com. Include a subject that's very easy for me to identify. This is an iGame. And these will be for Monday. If you want to do a show and tell of absolutely anything, again, send it to the same address, retromancave@gmail.com. If you want to show us your tape measure, send us a picture. If you measure something over the weekend, what am I saying? Send us a picture of anything that you decide to measure over the weekend. Think before you speak now. And if you want to give us a tour of your cave, please send in a video and they will be shown on Monday. But there will be entertainment over the weekend. We've got the RMC quiz tomorrow night, twitch.tv/The Retro Man Cave, 8 PM BST, British summertime. The mug is up for grabs. You can win this. And again, the quiz happens because of all the rounds that you guys send in. You send in the questions, the picture rounds. I throw a few questions in there, and granted, it takes me about half a day to get everything lined up into ABS to make the quiz happen, but it's made so much more easy because of your effort. So thank you, everyone. People like Pillock, like Dave, like Costado, like Craig, for his incredible round on Centre Parks. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow. But what's happening right now is Mad Pete, who is in the chat. I'm hoping that he started his stream over on his channel because he's going to play Turrican. He's standing there with his Turrican t-shirt on. It's only his third ever live stream. The first one, bless him, his live chat completely froze up and he did an entire live stream where I think he completed Turrican 2 while talking to people without even being able to see the chat. But he did a hell of a job. And I'm sure he's got that sorted now so we can chat. So let me get you the link. Unfortunately, we can't do a raid on YouTube, so here comes the link. That should be Pete. Let me check that it's actually working and he hasn't changed the link. Yeah, there he is. He's live. So it is your duty now to click on that link, to hit subscribe, to say hello from RMC, and to enjoy an expert playing Turrican in ways that we can only dream of in that very cave that we've just had a look around. So if you want him to grab anything around him from that cave for a closer look, maybe the Derek Findas picture, just ask him. Okay, off you go, cave dwellers. Enjoy, Pete. I'll see you in there, and have a lovely evening, lovely weekend. See you at the quiz tomorrow. Bye bye. Gizmo's not here, sorry.